In today's video, we're talking about the harsh realities of starting a small crafting business. And I'm talking about the stuff that nobody ever tells you. Welcome to Over Here We Craft for Money, the channel dedicated to helping you turn your love of crafting into supplemental income. Connect with me on Facebook and TikTok. Now let's jump into this video. Hey money makers, welcome back to Over Here We Craft for Money. I'm DJ, and this is not one of my we about to wiggle and dance, y'all. No, this is not that kind of video. This one ain't got no sugar on it. This one is straight no chaser, because I've seen so many videos recently of people talking about, oh, my product went viral. Oh, I make $300,000 a month on this product and that product. And it always makes it look so easy. Like, why can't you just do it? The reality of it is, first and foremost, some of them people lying. That's just that, first and foremost. But second of all, some of that takes some work. Like, you don't just wake up overnight and you've got $1 million viral product. And I want to talk about in this video some things that you can really expect. It's not intended to kill your hopes and dreams. It's not even intended to stop you from moving forward with that great idea you have. But what it is intended to do is to share with you some realities, some that I've gone through, some that I'm going through right now. But it's intended to share with you so that you know what to expect and also what to do to overcome. Now, some of the cons that I'm going to share with you as you consider if turning your love of crafting into a small business is a good idea or not. We'll focus on crafting because that's the business that I'm in. But the things that I'm going to talk about really can impact you and are things that you consider when you're thinking about starting a small business of any type. And the first one I will tell you is it's time consuming. Starting a small business as a solo entrepreneur, I can tell you right now, I feel on most days like I need an extra 24 hours in the day of 24 hours that I have already burned. I'm a solo entrepreneur. I make items here in my home, and it's just me. And there is never enough time. I have a day job, which many of us that are thinking about starting a small business do already have, because we need income, right? We got to pay our bills. And we have this fire in our belly to start our own business and begin to become a little more self-sufficient without relying on a paycheck from someone else. But that doesn't happen overnight. You got to get started. And so most of us, we do have another job that also is vying for our time. We also wear many hats. We're parents. We are spouses. We are caretakers for our parents. We wear so many hats. And all of these things are going to now have to move over, spread out, and make space for your small business. So when you think about, is starting a small business for me? Is taking my love of craft and something that I do every now and again and taking it into something that might possibly make me some income? Keep in mind, it is going to be time consuming. And anybody who sits on this good internet making you believe that it won't require anything, that you could work for 2 hours a whole week and just make millions, that is an absolute positive. I would bet every single dollar that I don't have to get away that they are. That's right. Starting a small business is time consuming. And if you think this is something you want to jump into, that is the first thing that you are going to have to come to terms with. Another raw truth about deciding to start a small business, particularly one that's grounded in crafting, is that you've got to know that there is possibly some market saturation. And it's really like that with any business. My mom always says there is nothing new under the sun. And she's absolutely right. Now, there are ways to do things better that are already going on under the sun. But what we're really talking about is having to be honest with yourself that the thing you love to make, the thing you love to do, the product you love to create, the service you feel like the world just cannot live without, chances are there is somebody out there doing it already. Chances are there's somebody out there doing it trendier. Chances are there's somebody out there doing it a whole lot cheaper than you, because they may have more things already in place to make that possible. But the reality of that is, and why it's important for us to know that that's a unvarnished truth about the decision to start a small business, particularly one based in crafting, is there's already somebody out there doing it. Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it, but it does mean that you need to be mindful, because that can lead to a lot of disappointment. A lot of content that's out here on the internet and on YouTube would have you think that you think up one idea for a coffee mug, put your coffee mug out on a platform like Facebook or Etsy, and everything is done for you. The truth of the matter is, there are bigger Etsy shops that have thousands and thousands of sales because they've been doing it for years before you got this idea. And it's going to take some work for you to get yourself built up through that algorithm. So the second thing that I need you to really be thinking about or be aware of before you decide to jump into this is that there is always going to be somebody out there doing what you do. And you're really going to have to work hard to differentiate yourselves from those people so that you can find your audience, your tribe, your client that is going to invest in you and help your business grow. The next raw truth, this one gonna probably hurt. It's gonna have me triggered because I'm gonna remember it when it was me. But this was a big one. And this is a big one that really discourages people and makes them want to stop before they get started, or even give themselves a chance to get started. And that is underpricing your product or your service. Guaranteed, new small business owners do this. I did this. And the reasons that we do it, it's a variety of them, but the number one reason that most small businesses underprice themselves is because they think it's their way of being competitive. They think it's their way of gaining visibility and getting customers because, I'm going to sell you this amazing Stanley mug, tumbler, and instead of me charging you the $60 that I see other people charging and getting, I'm going to sell you this for $40 because you're going to get this great deal, this coupon from me, and then that's going to make you come back and shop with me. No, that's not. I'm going to tell you the truth. Underpricing yourself is not going to get you brand loyalty. Underpricing your services is not going to get you client admiration and loyalty. Folks in this day and age will take your coupon. They will take your bargain. They will take your underpriced item. And some of them folks gonna try to make you go even lower, where you've already basically cut yourself out of making any kind of money, which is what you're in the business to do. But in order to get the customer, you think you got to go low, and your prices are going up. We got tariffs going on right now. So you will wake up and realize you did all of this work to make this amazing custom t-shirt and you cleared approximately $1.75. You are better than that, but nobody telling you that is not a strategy that gives you long-term income sustainability. Unless what you producing is crap. Let's keep it real over here, right? We know. But if you're not, and most of us are not, because this is our dream and we're wanting to put everything that we have in it, even our own money. So we're not doing this to provide crap to customers. So we need to be really careful about underpricing ourselves in an effort to stay competitive, because all we do is train potential clients to know that they can undercut us and they can get something of super value for less. And I can tell you, I used to feel that way. I used to feel like, well, if I got to sell on the blanks and the t-shirts that I bought from my vendor, I'm going to pass that sale on to my customers and I'm going to lower their prices. But then when that vendor didn't give me a deal on the bulk purchase, when taxes and shipping and everything went up and I had to raise my prices, guys, I faced some backlash in that first year and my sales dipped a little bit because People were used to, oh, every time she ships me something, I'm going to get a coupon to save on something else. Even Etsy encourages you to provide a coupon if they have an abandoned cart. And do you know, and I'll tell you, I know people who do it and I have done it. So I already know that Etsy has told the seller to put a coupon in there if I abandon my cart to lure me back to make my purchase. And so I'm going to go to Etsy, see something I like, put it in my cart and walk away. Why am I doing that? Because I'm waiting to see if that seller is going to shoot me over a coupon, which is then I'm going to apply to my order and then I'm going to get it for cheaper, right? Now, again, as a consumer, that's how they think. So I can't hate the game. But as a seller, I can say, I don't really like that. I don't like that part at all. Because if somebody really wants my product, then they should be willing to pay my price. Do I run sales in my Etsy shop around the holidays or something special like my sorority's charter day? Because that's a big time in our sorority and I want to give that gift of a coupon to my potential customers. Yes, I'm not telling you don't do that, but what I am telling you is do not underprice your service, your craft, or your product in an effort to gain customer loyalty and brand loyalty, because that's not what it's going to get you. And maybe nobody ever told you that, because they certainly didn't tell me that, but I want to make sure that you are informed and making the most out of this decision to start your small business. So let's move on into my next raw truth that you need to know before you jump in. Truth that I think nobody wants to ever talk about is how inconsistent the income can be when you start a small business, and especially when it is a small business based in crafting. Sometimes that work is seasonal. Sometimes that work is based on conferences or things or regions where you live. Sometimes it's based on how much social media engagement there is out there. There is a variety of things that contribute to the inconsistency of the income that you are going to feel like you're on a roller coaster ride for, especially in the beginning. But nobody talks about that, right? By the time someone's video hits our algorithm and we're seeing it, they're already saying, oh, I'm kicked back in Aruba and I only work one day a month and look at all of what I make. They didn't start like that. And first of all, y'all remember number 2, I told y'all that's probably a what? That right there. However, it is important to know and understand that at least in the beginning, it is going to be inconsistent income. You're starting a small business. Chances are you don't have a grant. Chances are you don't have an investor. Chances are you might not even be ready to tell your friends and your family that you've started a small business, which is typically where your first customers come from. So imagine you're doing all of this in secret, but you got this big dream. You're not telling everybody because you don't want anybody to kill your dreams and rain on your parade. All of that is keeping what you do silent. All of that is keeping what you do hidden. So chances are the money is not going to be rolling in. If you pick a particular niche or market that is highly, highly popular in the months of October, November, and December, where gift giving really begins to ramp up, and you start your business in April, which is where we are right now, chances are you might make a little money now, and I'm not saying that you can't, because there's always things that you can do, but high season for crafting businesses is around the holidays toward the latter part of the year. And again, nobody is telling you that, but I'm going to tell you that because I want you to be aware so that you can prepare yourself to maximize the resources that you do have. Make you spend some time honing your craft so that when you do launch, when you do put that information out there, when you do share it, you are ready. Burnout is real. Exhaustion from your small business is real. It's real. Did I say it's real? Real. It's real, y'all. It's real. You're starting your small business because you have a passion for something. In my case, it's craft and love making things, love creating things with my hand. I'm passionate about it, so it doesn't feel like work. But there is definitely a distinct difference that I experience now that I have taken my crafting and I have turned it into a small business. I've been in my small business Finder Deals for just under 5 years now, and I can tell you it's different. I used to come in this craft room and decide, oh, I want to make a tumbler and I want to customize it with my favorite organization, American Cancer Society. And then a program will come on TV and I'm like, oh, I'll come back and I'll make that later and I can walk away. But guess what? Over here on the heat press, I've got 1, 2, 3, 5 orders that need to be done because someone has paid their money. So I don't have the luxury of sitting around and dawdling and coming back to making that shirt whenever I want to. It now has a time clock on it. The sand is dripping down the hourglass because somebody's paid their hard-earned money for something that I make, something that my business produces. And so one of the pitfalls that nobody ever tells you about is if you are blessed and fortunate enough for what it is that you're passionate about doing, allows you to make some money from it because people are paying you to receive something in exchange, that adds a time clock to what you do. That adds a turnaround time that you've got to make sure you are prepared and ready to balance because nobody has money to waste in this day and age. And so the one thing that you have to be mindful of with this, and I feel like this is such a raw truth that nobody talks about. Before you decide to jump into starting a small business, understand that you're going to be working. You're going to be working 24 hours a day on something for yourself, and it can lead to burnout. Burnout is absolutely real. And I don't want anybody thinking that that's not what happens. Because if you have that lightning in a bottle moment where you make something and you make a video about it and it goes viral, or you go to a career fair, a craft fair, and somebody loves this and says, oh, I'm the HR director of my company and I need 1,000 of those. Can you do that? I guarantee you, your love of crafting just went from,
oh, it's so relaxing and I love it. And I do it because I like to create to
sweet baby Jesus, Mary, Joseph, the wise men, and the Billy Goat.
all of that becomes your reality. And if you find yourself losing your passion for crafting as you try to morph it into a small business that brings you side hustle money, that is a true pitfall of making that decision. And I don't want to act like that doesn't exist. So, something to keep in mind before you decide to jump in and start that business, including that crafting business, is be on the lookout for burnout. Seriously, because it can happen to the best of us. Another raw truth that I feel like nobody ever talks about, but everybody needs to think about before you make the decision of starting a small business, and especially if your small business is going to be a crafting business, is that you are everything and everything is you. You the crafter, the creator, the accountant, the photographer, the marketer, the customer service department, the complaint department, the shipping department, the consumer resolutions department. You are everything when you start a small business because, again, most of us start because we have a passion for something, but we don't have everybody activated and ready to help. Now, you might be fortunate and lucky, like I felt like I was. I had my mom. I have a few of my sorority sisters that always say, hey, if there's anything I can do, let me know. But the truth of the matter is, it's my small business. I'm the one that's responsible for it. And I wear a whole lot of hats. And a lot of times we think, particularly in our crafting space, when I start my small crafting business, I just love to make candles. I just love to make candles, and I'm going to make candles that smell amazing and everybody's going to love my candles. But then I didn't think about, well, wait a minute. I'm the one that's got to do product consistency. I'm the one that's got to do product testing. I'm the one that's got to do the packaging. I've got to come up with the labels. I've got to do the emails. I've got to do the social media. I've got to find the vendors for all my packing supplies. Just everything piles up, piles up, piles up. And so I'm not saying that these things are not overcoming. You can overcome them. I have overcome them. We're going to talk about that shortly. But the reality is, if you go into wanting to start a small business and you are not thinking about in advance all of the things that you are going to have to do in the beginning to even get it off the ground and get it started, and that you are those things, then you are cheating yourself and you're going to burn out, and you're going to think what an awful idea this was, and you're going to have spent all this money for nothing. So I'm not saying that it cannot be overcome, but what I am saying that nobody else is talking about is you need to be thinking about, do I really want to jump into this knowing that in the very beginning, I'm going to be the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker? Because that's real, y'all, and we need to give some thought to that. Let's talk about some other things that I feel like are so important for you to consider before you start a small business. And I think the last thing that I would say that I feel like is a raw truth that nobody is talking about, that I think we all need to think about when we're starting a small business. And honestly, it is where I am in my small business journey right now after being in business just under 5 years. And that is the realities of taking a small business to scale. When you want to take your business and grow it even bigger than what you thought it could be, once you've gotten started, once you've gotten an audience, once you've gotten a client base, and now you want to take it to scale. Scaling a business to the point where you can leave your 9 to 5 behind is no easy task. And again, social media, internet, TikTok, and all the gram will have you believe that all you got to do is have an idea and then you're going to be able to take it to scale. I see content all the time saying, "Oh, I use my small business to rent to purchase a car. I use my small business to purchase a building. Because it is, again, I work 2 hours a month and I make millions of dollars on Amazon with my shop and all of this, that, and the third." Listen, I don't care what Facebook say, Pinterest say, Instagram, the tick, or the talk. Okay. Taking a business to scale is not easy. It is not easy at all. And I'm not saying it cannot be taken to scale, because there are some legitimate small businesses out there that started small and now we want to call them big business. Okay. It started with their love of something. They pour everything that they have into it. They did all of the work that they needed to do. They took their time. They got the right business partners. They built the right brands. They have the right consistency, and they were able to scale their businesses. But the thing you have to think about with your own business is how this person scaled their business may not work for you. It may not work in the niche that you're in. It may not work in your crafting business, right? It may be a piece, as in crafting, trends change. And so sometimes people can't figure out what their crafting business needs to be because they're jumping from one trend to the next trend to the next trend to the next trend. And I'll share a personal example with why that's kind of dangerous to do. If I have intentions of taking finer deals to scale and I want to see myself inside of Macy's, let's just say the t-shirts that I make, I want to see myself inside of Macy's. There's nothing wrong with me dreaming to want to be in Macy's. But a couple months back around the holidays, a trend that was all over social media was the side bow sweatshirts. Everybody was doing appliques. I even did a video. I'll link it if you're interested, because they turned out amazing and they're cute. But you don't see those shirts anymore. It had a moment in time. It was like a Polaroid camera. And if you don't know what a Polaroid camera is, that means I'm really aging myself, because I used to love our family Polaroid camera. But that's a whole nother video. What I will say, though, is if I thought, oh, that trend is so awesome. I thought I make the best shirts that you could ever see with a sideboard. That's what I'm going to scale my business to. And that's what I'm going to put all of my revenue into. And then that trend is gone. And it's fleeting, and nobody is wearing that side bow t-shirt or sweatshirt anymore. That's not a scalable business model. That was a trend, and there's nothing wrong with us as crafters hopping on a trend, because it can bring you in some really quick money. But taking a business to scale and making it something so sustainable that you leave your 9 to 5 and it brings in the income that you need, and hopefully mindset when I'm thinking of taking a business to scale is, how do I create that generational wealth? In my case, for my niece Milani, I want her to have something. Trying to scale your business on fleeting trends is not going to be the answer. And so if that's something that you're thinking about, if that's a goal of yours, I want to be honest that it does take work. It will take some partnerships. And you're going to have to do some major research to figure out if your business model is even scalable. Some people are going to pay some folks to help them figure that out. Some people are going to research that to help them out. And then some people are going to need to have somebody that tells them, baby, I know you make a good side shirt bow, but it ain't that perfect. And I don't think you need to be basing your business model off of that. The truth of the matter is, when I think about my business in crafting and making items is just one aspect. If it's going to go to scale, what does scale look like? Does that mean offering classes? Does that mean offering mentorships? Does that mean offering memberships? Does that mean that I'm going to make a sellable product like a digital download or something that's going to help millions and thousands of people all over the world want to know the most reputable vendors to deal with overseas so that they don't spend their money with unreputable and unscrupulous vendors over there? I have to realize scale does not mean I'm just going to make 300 more t-shirts a month. That's going to start to have that physical strain we're talking about. But you really have to get real and honest with yourself and understanding what does scale mean for the business model that you have. And nobody's telling you that, but I need you to know, because ain't nobody got money to be wasted. Now, I know if you got this far in the video, first of all, thank you so much. This video has been on my heart to make for about 6 months now. And I really wanted to think through what I had gone through, what I've experienced, what some of my peers that are small business and friends that I've made along the way have experienced. But I really wanted to talk about this because nobody is talking about this. And the truth of the matter is, when I started my small business, I had $200 that I guess I'll call discretionary income. I'm sure I had a credit card or a bill that money could have went to. But the month that I decided I was going to do this and jump in and buy my first Cricut machine, I had $200 by which I was going to get started with my business. And I promise you, if there has been a way to do something wrong along the 5 years of this journey, I have found it. And I've wasted a lot of money. And a lot of people have been very, close to the chest with information that really could have helped me do better. And I don't want to be that person for my moneymakers. I want to be able to give you something that will save you some money, put more money back in your pocket, but help you use the money that you save or keep the money that you make to do something for you and your family. So if you got this far in the video, thank you so much. Please like the video and please subscribe to my channel. I am growing and I am going to be bringing you all amazing more content. And this is not the start. This is just the middle. So let's keep going. Let's keep going. So I just sat here and told you about all the things that, the harsh realities of starting a small business that might have you thinking that I think is the worst idea ever and you should never do it. But that's not true, because I'm living proof that there are good things to starting a small business, particularly a small crafting business. And so I want to share a little bit of those with you now, because there are ways to overcome these obstacles, and there's a whole lot of good and a whole lot of great reasons why you can start your small crafting business today. So let's talk about some of that good stuff now. And these are in no particular order, but one of the things that I can tell you that is absolutely amazing about starting a small crafting business is the creative freedom I have. If I'm in my sleep and I have a dream, and in that dream I have on a shirt, and this shirt says something cute or has a cute design on it, when I wake up, I'm going to go make that shirt, and I have the creative freedom to be able to do that. I'm a very creative person by nature. I gain inspiration from all different types of things that I'm involved in. I can gain inspiration in a grocery store. I can gain inspiration at the Goodwill while I'm donating clothes. I can gain inspiration while I'm in my laundry room decluttering those baskets that I need to get in there and declutter. I can gain inspiration from everywhere. And having a small business, a small crafting business, allows me to have that outlet. And that is one of the things that I love about having made the decision to start my small business. Now, maybe crafting isn't your jam, and that's not where you're gonna, find your inspiration. Maybe you are a great motivational coach. Maybe you're a great resume writer. Maybe you're an amazing chef. Whatever that thing is that has you inspired to want to start a small business, it's a creative outlet for you. And there is a piece of you that is clawing their way up and trying to get out. And the longer you take to invest in yourself and start that small business and water that little plant and let it start to bloom, the longer it's going to take for you to see everything that it could have become. You are more capable than you probably even realize and have more ideas than even you think you have that are going to start to come to you once you go ahead, take the chance and jump in. So lean into the creative freedom that starting a small business can give you, because it will change your life. No joke, no cap, as the kids say. Did I use that slang right? No cap. I think I did. It's all right. If I used it right, throw me a cap down in the chat and let me know. Another amazing pro of making the decision to start your small business is that you have freedom in when and how often you work, right? So depending on your small business model and what it is that you want to create, you have the freedom to set your own schedule. Nobody tells you got to clock in at 9 and clock out at 5. It's up to you. Now, again, we're talking, for me personally, crafting, which is what was the motivation behind this video. And you all heard me talk about when I started my small business that I was the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker. So in my mind, I did not have a flexible schedule. And that really led to 5 years of just grinding while I had a day job. And I told you all that led to a surgery that I had to have on my hands a few months ago. But what I can tell you is that taught me that I can flex my schedule more than I was giving myself permission to, because I'm my own boss when it comes to my small business. And so I can decide how I'm going to organize myself. I can decide what days I'm going to work, what days will be the shipping days, and what days will be the days that I do absolutely nothing, because I've earned an off day, right? If my day job gives me an off day, why does not my small business give me an off day? And so I think that that is one of the things that is absolutely beneficial to starting your small business, is that you can create the schedule that you want to have for yourself. But I will just tell you a little word of caution. You might end up working a whole lot more for yourself than you do in your regular job, because when you're super passionate about something, it doesn't feel like work and you fall in love with it. So keep that in mind. But let's talk about another pro, and something that I'm so excited that I get to embrace because I started my small business. Depending on what it is you're trying to start up the business to do, the startup cost can be super uber low. I told y'all I started my crafting business with a $200 little tiny amount that I had to spend, and I chose to invest in a Cricut machine and some vinyl. And that's what started my small business, Finer Deals. And I've been in business, turning a profit, for 5 years. So for me, it was a low startup cost. And there are other small businesses that you can start, crafting, especially small crafting businesses, that you can start for under $100 today. And if that's a video that you want to see, I know somebody said they wanted to see that, but I need more than one person to tell me they want to see a video like that, because it takes a lot of time to create these videos. But if you are definitely interested and inspired by this video to go ahead and take that leap of faith and start, I am happy to share 10 businesses that you can start in under $100 with a crafting foundation. So let me know in the chat if that's something that you want to see. Drop that down there for me, because low startup costs to starting a small business is really a good thing. It's really exciting, because in the beginning, you're probably not going to have any investors, and you're not going to have anybody that's going to say, hey, let me just give you some money for you to go and see if this idea is going to take off, right? So a low startup cost, especially in the crafting realm, is really ideal. Maybe it's going to be digital, and that's what I'm going to do. And that costs me even less. Maybe I'm paying a $35 subscription to Canva to create digital downloads and things of that nature. And then other people are going to buy that. So thinking about starting your small business, and perhaps, if it's not going to be crafting, let's say, maybe it is going to be, I'm going to be a keynote speaker, or I want to be a motivational speaker. It might mean that you might have to invest in, I don't know, Facebook Pro, so a business account, and you might have to invest in a nice new suit, so that when you sit on live and are talking and presenting yourself, you are looking like what people are looking for. Long story short, I'm not sure what small business you may be looking at thinking about, but thinking about startup costs and how you can keep them manageable and low is definitely something that I think is beneficial when you're starting your own business, because you get to decide. E-commerce shops make starting a small business so much easier today than it ever has been before. There was a time where the only platform in the game was Etsy, and you didn't really have anywhere else to go. But now, due to competition, right, and the world is competitive, everybody's got a competitor, honey. McDonald's got Burger King got Wendy's. Everybody got competitors. And starting small businesses in the crafting realm or the niches we're talking about is no stranger to that. But we now have Shopify. We have Facebook Marketplace. We have TikTok. We have Instagram. We have Pinterest. We have all kinds of online platforms that are giving Etsy a run for their money. And so they're making it a lot more user friendly. All of these platforms understand that we have choices and we have options. We may grab Wix and go start ourselves our own website. I started my website with GoDaddy, right? So I didn't have to depend on Etsy to get me up through the algorithm because I was willing to be my own marketing person and get my stuff out there. My point is, social media platforms and online platforms with e-commerce components to them really can help you get your small business off the ground. And so I don't think there's ever been a better time to start a small business, and especially a small crafting business, because even though there may be markets that some folks feel are saturated, you're not in that market yet, and your ideas are going to generate and create something that nobody's even seen yet. And that's going to be the thing that helps you get your foot in the door and helps you get to prove yourself and start to establish your brand. So to me, I think one of the pros about starting a small business is there's a lot more resources available to us today than our predecessors had or our friends who started businesses even 5 years ago. There's even more today. So that is one of the things that makes me really happy that I took the leap of faith and started my small business. So let's talk about two more, and then we're going to go ahead and wrap this video. One of the other things that I think makes it a pro to start a small business is you can find your niche. You can find your tribe. You can find that group of customers that are underserved. Now, only you can do the research where you live to figure out where that market is, because a lot of times when you start a small business, you kind of start in your own surrounding areas, especially with crafting, because of one of the things that you want to be able to take advantage of are craft shows and craft markets and things of that nature. And that's usually where you are, because who wants to spend money to get on a plane to go and fly and ship all your coffee mugs with you and then try to sell it in Las Vegas, let's say. So you're always going to kind of start local. But the thing that I want us to, kind of be thinking about is, how can I niche, right? So maybe I like weddings and I feel like I can create wedding environments that will just knock your socks off. But then I go out there and I say, well, I'm not at the big bridal shows. And so how am I going to do that? Like, how I have a passion for, making that bride and that groom feel the best they've ever felt. But everybody wants to make them feel that. So how can I do that? Maybe your niche are those unique weddings, right? Those people that want to get married in the restaurant that they met in. I remember going and seeing, I went to my favorite restaurant. I love White Castles. Okay, now I'm really about to tell y'all about my business. I love White Castles. They don't have it here where I live now, but it's one of my favorite places to go grab a burger when I lived in Chicago. And I remember walking into a White Castles and there was a couple in there getting married. They were renewing their vows. They had been married 50 years and they had met when they were basically infants in my mind, went at the local White Castles. And there was a wedding planner that had everything in there decorated with pictures from when they used to work at the White Castles, little favors that she created. That was a niched wedding, right? Now, obviously, she can't scale her business planning White Castle weddings. However, what she's able to show in that marketing, and I'm sure she did when she was done, is I don't care how unorthodox your wedding idea is, I'm the wedding planner that can make your dreams come true. I can bring your vision to life. So one of the things that I love about being a creative and starting my small business is it continues to evolve with things that allow me to niche into my audience, for me, my sorority, and finding my place within that. And then once that has happened for me, that word of mouth, me marketing and showing the outcomes of the things that I've done is really what I think has been a key success. And that's allowed me to be even more creative because now I know who my customer is. I can describe them. I can see them in my mind when I'm creating a product or an item for them. And it makes it so much easier to be able to do. Which leads me to my last and final thing that makes my heart sing about being happy that I started my small business. And that is the emotional satisfaction that I feel when I see someone wearing or using something that these two things made. At the heart of a crafter is you want to make something that someone is going to love and someone is going to use. And nothing feels better than when you see them use that coffee mug, when you see them wear that shirt, when you see that person that maybe you helped draft a resume because you're a resume writer and then they post on social media that they got the job. Like there's something so emotionally fulfilling when you have an idea for a small business, you invest in it and it yields that return. There is nothing like that. When I made those pillows a couple weeks ago for the sorority sister whose line sister passed on. And it was a lot of work, but I took all of those pictures that they sent and I made those memory pillows for them. And one of the frat brothers that was the recipient made this beautiful dedicated post on our private social media group. And he was crying because it is a treasured item that he's going to have for the rest of his life, that he'll always have, that will remind him of a really good friend that he made when they were pups in college. And my pillow that I made with these hands is something he's never, ever going to part with. And there is no better feeling than knowing that I had some small part in helping him keep her memory and legacy alive. So the emotional return that you get when you start your business and you make something that people love, it makes you feel like $1,000,000, even if you haven't made $1,000,000 yet. Really hope that you found this video helpful. It wasn't sugar coated. It wasn't flowery. It was real talk. It's real talk about the realities of starting a small crafting business or a small business of any kind for that matter, and the things that you really need to think about, because if you don't and you run up against any of those things, they can really discourage you and make you think that you've made a very bad decision. Not thinking about some of these things can cost you valuable money that you don't have to give away. So I really do hope that it wasn't too raw. I hope it wasn't too different from what you expect from me. But I always told you all when I started this channel, one of the reasons that I did it is because a lot of people are not forthcoming with information. They're not trying to be helpful. They're crabs in a barrel mentality. And they think that if they tell their secrets, that it's somehow going to stop them from being what they feel like they need to be. And I'm the exact opposite of that. There are no secrets. There are over 5 billion people in this world. I don't have to fight with you over who's going to buy my t-shirt. People can buy both t-shirts. So I want to make sure that I'm sharing information with you. I want to make sure that I'm helping you make money for you and your family. And I'm always going to keep it real over here. And that is something you can always count on. I hope you found the video helpful. I hope you'll go ahead and subscribe to my channel so that I can share more content with you. I hope you will like this video and definitely share it with your crafty friends or someone that's thinking about starting a business, because I want all of us to be successful. That is the only way we all win. All right. I will see you all in my next video. And if you are interested in seeing what the day in the life is like for a small solo entrepreneur like myself, please check out my most recent work along with me videos. Here is day 1 and here is day 2, which turned into day 3. I think you'll enjoy it. And until my next video, bye everybody.